She's Katy Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wrong Way Forward. My name's Katy Montgomery, and I am here with my best friend, Justin Joseph. And we're very excited because this is our second show as part of episode 2. And we're just excited to be here. And Justin, Happy New Year, like a real Happy New Year. This is our first face-to-face big conversation we've had since we've both been away for the break.
I know. It's exciting to see you. Happy New Year to you. It's also the longest period that since we started working on the podcast, probably a year ago, this is the longest period you and I went without speaking because you, of course, were over in Japan. How was all of that?
It was wonderful. I do have to say the last time I was in Japan, I was 30 years old. It's almost 22 years later, and I have to say it would have been nice to maybe schedule in a day of rest. It is sensory overload. It is so exciting. It is sound, sights, people, crowds. Tokyo is just so full of life. It was a fantastic trip. But I have to say, the New Year's always weird. I have two feelings about it. Like I dread getting back into the swing of things. And there's a part of me that is just craving a schedule and routine and control. And so it's this kind of yin and yang kind of thing. So
would you go so far as to call it seasonal depression? I think I have that because once Christmas is over, once New Year's Day is over, everything comes down.
Yeah.
It needs to go back. I want to get back into life.
I don't know if it's seasonal or if it's because of the weather. I think for me, it's like getting out of the routine. I start to feel really lethargic and I want to go back to feeling kind of active and engaged. Mm-hmm. But then I've been out of it for so long that I'm starting to get comfortable in being a lump on the log. And so it's fighting internally within myself.
And then all the things we're going to talk about today are resolutions. Then you've got also the pressure of knowing that you've committed to certain things and that you've told everyone that you've committed to certain things, and the pressure of performing on those is a whole different dimension. And like for real estate, it's a hamster wheel because you're measured by your volume every year. And so as of December 31st, my tracking goes back to 0 and I start over.
So are you anxious, Justin?
Very. Didn't we talk about this? Didn't I? What's in episode 2 where I said I don't have anxiety? No, I'm not anxious because I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline and I think I've got a good positive start to the new year. But I love the holidays. I really do. But once January comes around, January and February, once football season's over, I love football season. We're getting Broncos are in playoffs, Super Bowl coming up. Once that's over, I want to die, until St. Patrick's Day.
Well, we also should probably tell the audience you're doing dry January. So that's probably putting you in a little bit of a depressive state too.
Yeah, I do more like drink less January. I'm really drink less Q1. So, it's like I said, it's really hard to watch a football game without having a drink, especially if it's stressful.
Yes.
But we are, I gained 6 pounds over the holidays. I hit a number on the scale I've never actually hit before. Thank God there was not a 2 in front of it, but it was really right there. We were dancing with 2. And so anyway, I've been on a diet I'm back down under 190, which is very good. And so
Good. Well, I think that leads us, it was so funny. Every year, People magazine, their New Year's issue, it puts 2 people on the cover and they both lost 100 pounds. So that really takes us into New Year's resolutions, which a big one for most people is to lose weight. And it tends to be the one that is the most difficult to stick with, to stay with. But this year I did something a little bit different. And so I was going to kind of walk you through that, Justin. I think this might work for you, in the future. And my sister and I sat down and did this over a steak dinner and many cocktails and wine, but, we both committed, wrote it out, and it is going to be prominently displayed on my refrigerator so I can see it at all times.
On that note, do you do a vision board? What do you think about vision boards? I can't believe how many people do them. You're basically talking about one on your fridge.
No, this is handwritten. I don't go and cut up magazines. And
you have a vision board on your fridge with magnets.
Justin, this is when people, and it's going to be really interesting for our listeners when we get to Block B, and they actually realize how supportive you are on people trying to set goals.
So your pretend vision board of the fridge, you're putting up these
Okay.
things. Go on. I didn't mean to
So
interrupt.
I caught a clip on Instagram, and y'all know that I've reduced my social media, and I'll give you an update on that in just a
Yes,
little bit.
do.
But this is a guy named Jesse Itzler. And how I know him is that he's married to Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx. Justin, do you know what Spanx is?
Yes, I have several pairs of them.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
But he's an entrepreneur in his own right. I think
I didn't know that. I
he
didn't know
was
that
involved
story
with
was.
like Marquis Jets and Zico, what's it called? Coconut water. He's done a number of things, but he has three approaches to the new year. And one is a Japanese term, which is called musagi. And the idea is this is your defining thing for 2026. This is not the kind of, I'm going to meditate each day or, I'm going to, take care of this small goal. This is the one big thing you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Justin, for us, 2025 could have been start a podcast. Like it is
Yes.
a significant commitment that you can look back and say, 2025 was the year I did X.
I love that.
And so for me, and I'm just going to kind of put this up to the camera so people can kind of see what I am posting on my fridge.
Yeah, tell me what that is. So for people who may be listening and can't see that.
So it's my piece of paper, and the first thing is my defining thing for 2026.
Okay. That's your Misagi.
That's my Misagi, yes. And then his next idea is that as adults, we need to kind of schedule in time to look forward to. And so he talks about having 6 mini adventures roughly every 2 months. And the idea is that can be camping with your kids, a concert with your husband. That could be a girls' trip to the beach. But it's something to look forward to and to have planned so you won't have the excuse that you are not going to do this event.
So is a mini adventure a trip, or it doesn't have to be? It could
Doesn't
be a
have to
hike.
be. A mini venture is just something to look forward to. So it could be an event, a concert, throwing a party. It could be a trip. It could be, a day out, but it's something that is scheduled and planned and that is very specific.
Okay. And you don't have to do all these at the beginning of the year. Or do you? You should know what your 6 adventures are.
I think the idea is to know what your 6 adventures are so you can place them in the calendar. So as the year slogs along, you've got something to look forward to. So when January starts, you're like, oh, in the beginning of March, my sister's going to fly up and we're going to go see this play, right? In 2 months, I'm going to head to Denver and I'm going to watch Justin piss off every waitress and waiter in Denver,
And
right?
you're going to be driven crazy by my new dog.
I know.
She's nuts. She's lovely, but she's nuts.
Of course, she's nuts. And then his last thing is spending 1 quarter, so you have 4 quarters, kind of through the year. No, 4 quarters, 3 quarters throughout the year, but having a winning habit kind of every quarter, something that you focus on. This could be picking up a habit of journaling every day. This could be picking up a habit of waking up 30 minutes earlier every day. And I liked this because it gave me a mix of different things that I could look forward to. And so my defining theme for 2026 is going to be very odd. And some people won't think it's much of a stretch. But last year, I made the goal to walk 12,000 steps a day.
I love that.
And some people will think, well, whatever, Katy, that's nothing. 12,000 steps a day for me was something. If I was on an airplane, if I was stuck behind a desk all day, if I was sick, if I just didn't feel up to it, and it's something where, in Denver, I have to actively get out and do something.
Yeah, you would too.
And so this year, my defining thing is I'm going to try to do 12,500 steps every day.
Okay.
And it's just making kind of a commitment. My 6 mini adventures have already been planned.
Okay.
And then my winning habit every quarter. I think some of y'all know that I've spoke about trying to stop my reliance on social media. And I bought this thing called a brick. I'm showing it to everyone. It's crazy. I have probably been since January 1st on social media. And it's now January 8th, a whole collective of maybe not even an hour.
I love that. What's so funny about the brick is I'm putting a new listing on this week, and he had stuff all over his fridge, and that's one of the no-nos. I immediately take everything off. And he's a bachelor, and he just like basically just, I'll leave, just do whatever you want to the house. So I, of course, ripped all his stuff off his refrigerator, and then there was something called the brick. And normally, had I not known from you, I would have thrown that out. But I was like, I know what that is. I'm not going to touch that.
It is. And so what I find is it's not overwhelming. There's one kind of great thing for the year, and I have found that I was really proud that I hit that kind of goal last year. So it's something that I can talk about and know that I accomplished. I love the winning habit kind of every quarter. And I love the idea of 6 mini adventures. So that's a twist that I'm going to be doing on New Year's resolutions this year. And I thought my sister going through this exercise was really interesting because I had been thinking about it since I saw the post. But she was something, it wasn't until we sat down and actually did the exercise. And it really brought up a lot of things about that she had not thought about that she wanted to do, things that she didn't know kind of how to articulate, things that were in the back of her brain that weren't coming to the front of her brain. Mm-hmm. And so it's a great concept. So that's me in New Year's resolutions. I'd love to hear, Justin, what are you doing?
Well, let's talk about it on the other side. But just to recap for our listeners again, number one is the Misagi, and that is the big adventure. That's the maybe you should recap.
Musagi is the defining thing for 2026.
Defining thing for 2026. That's A. Okay, what's
Yes.
B?
B is 6 mini adventures that you are going to kind of schedule. And then the last one is trying to establish a winning habit every quarter.
I think those are super cool. And on the other side, we'll talk about some ideas I have, and we'll talk about how you deal with your loved ones and their New Year's resolutions when they're either the same or different. How much pressure do you put on them to keep them in? We'll talk about all of that on the other side. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Wrong Way Forward. By some point, usually I think I was watching something the other day and they said there's a day in which you have to stop saying Happy New Year to people. I forget what the rule was, but I think we're past that now. There's also a day by which you have to stop talking about New Year's resolutions. And so we're still under that rule. And so this will be our last discussion on it. Maybe we'll do a check-in in a few months. But today we're talking about, at the end of last season, we talked about how you make New Year's resolutions. Now we're talking about what they are and how you stick by them and some different ideas of how you can approach them. And so when we left, Katy was talking about, is there a name for that guy's, the 3 things?
I think he's just pulled together from different places.
Yeah, interesting. And I was just looking at his Instagram. He looks like he invented the big ass calendar.
Yes, correct.
That's the calendar. I saw an advertisement for that on Instagram as well. Anyway, so we were talking about some things, and for me, my big New Year's resolution is weight. I'm as big as I've ever been, and it's never really bothered me except as I age. It's just another thing that weighs on me, literally and figuratively. And so,
Justin, but you do like Spanx, so that can help.
Yeah, with Spanx, I find, and I wear them if I'm putting on a tux, but men's Spanx, and I'll stand for this, they're like underwear, and then they have this really rigid thing that covers here and it squeezes you in. But the problem is then your fat rolls out here. And so,
Justin, welcome to the life of a woman.
Yeah. And so I don't really get the point of them except that they kind of flatten your stomach. But then, like I said, and then if you sit down, that's a disaster. It's just, they're more work than they're worth. And then I have a shirt that's a compression shirt. And that thing, I feel like I'm having a heart attack in. And I cannot wait to get that off. Anyway, so I don't wear them as much as I used to. But the weight thing is a big one for me. I've got to get down. Mostly not because of just vanity. It's literally health. I've got to get down, I'd say 20 to 30 pounds. And what was funny? I was watching New Year's Eve with Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper. And Andy Cohen, I've never even looked twice at him. He dropped 25 pounds last year. He has never looked better.
Yeah.
Have you seen him recently?
But here's the thing that I think about all the time. And again, someone who's struggled with their weight, when you are, well-to-do and you have a trainer and, you're in a public role. I mean, he should be very proud of losing his weight. But I mean, that's a lot easier than like living in a food desert, under the poverty level,
Well, 100%. But
working two shifts where the cortisol is high.
I just think nothing ages you as a man. Nothing ages you more than weight. I felt that of myself. Then watching Andy Cohen the other night, and by the way, I just think he's really talented. I've never really spent any time with him.
Oh, he's super talented. But I have to tell you this: for every beautiful woman I know, I could say most. I mean, usually the female looks way better than the male. I mean, like,
What do you mean?
Because I think here's the thing:
Female looks better with weight.
No, a female just looks better. Like, here's the thing, like, guys can be like bald and fat
I see what you're saying.
and get a cute, amazing girl. That's not the same. If a woman had alopecia and had extra 20 pounds, good luck.
Yeah, she'd be wearing a wig.
You never know. They probably itch, Justin.
I know. We had an anchor here on television who went through that. And so anyway, but anyway, weight is big for me, both because of vanity and because of literal health reasons. I just need to get it off. And so I got back on the GLP-1. And like I said, I've already down 6 pounds, which again, my girlfriend Kelly will say she can work out for a month and I can work out for a month. I'll drop 15 pounds or 10 pounds and she'll drop 3 pounds. She says girls' bodies are different, which I don't really get. I mean, I get it, but I don't really get it. Anyway, so the weight is a big one for me. I am doing drink less, really January, February, March. I just need to, that's part of the big weight thing. And then just refocusing at work. As I think we talked about last year, I had a really tough last quarter in real estate, a really tough year. It was a tough year in the industry. And so it's the first year that I don't want to say burnt out, but I felt burnt out. And, I didn't really get the December off I wanted to. It was busy in December, which is a good problem to have. And so anyway, long story short, that's where I'm thinking. But I am going to put some thought into the 3 things you talk about. I love the big idea. I love the adventures. And we're going to Europe here shortly, and we really have nothing else planned. As you know, we didn't do anything in December because we have the new puppy and we were focusing on training her. And I had JOMO. Have you heard JOMO? Joy of Missing Out?
Oh, no, but that makes sense to me.
I had JOMO. I mean, we turned down all parties and I was really thrilled with it. Having said that, as it went on and everybody started doing all their fun trips, all my friends, I'm like, okay, I should be traveling.
There you
So
go.
that's the end of that. But one of the things we're going to talk about is how you deal with friends and family or partners and their resolutions. And there was an article that we're going to take on this week from who's this? This is from Dear Abby. It says, can I encourage a healthier lifestyle for my partner? And the question was this. Dear Abby, in the past, I always disliked my appearance. I've been obese most of my 70 years, but I'm now within 20 pounds of my ideal weight. My problem is I have met someone who I like very much and could see spending the rest of my life with. However, she is obese and it bothers me greatly. How can I effectively communicate my desire that she lose 30 to 50 pounds without being offensive? And this is what Abby writes back. Dear Finally Slim, approaching someone and saying that you want them to lose 30 to 50 pounds would be like touching the third rail. I don't really know what that means. You'll have to, I'm sure you probably do. You can, however, as you get to know this person better, model your healthy lifestyle and encourage her by setting an example. If she picks it up, she may be the lady for you. I don't think that's the right way forward. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think generally the wrong way forward when you're trying to encourage anyone to do something is mandating embarrassment, shame, ass riding. I mean, that doesn't work. I mean, there is study upon study that has shown this. Also, we know this, and I'm guilty of this myself. If I lose some weight and have a good hair day, watch out, people. I can be kind of obnoxious. I'm cute for one day, and I am running with it, right? So this guy thinks, it's really interesting. He struggled with weight for 70 years, and he's momentarily 20 pounds away from his goal weight. And now he has become, disgusted by having an obese
Right, now it's
partner
Brad Pitt.
who he really, really likes, right? So I think there's a little bit of an ego check. I mean, we do need to feel good about ourselves. He should be proud of, his accomplishment. But I think what she's missing and is the wrong way forward is like, first of all, check yourself. And then number 2, those tactics never work, particularly something for weight, which has so much shame and embarrassment around it. Mm-hmm. And there are so many terrible connotations that are affiliated with, weight gain. You're lazy, you're not active. You don't care about your appearance. Aesthetics aren't important. And all of that's incorrect. And so if he wants to be effective, First of all, check himself at the door. And then number 2, do not use any of the tactics that are first coming to mind for him.
I also think, this is always a question, do you communicate? And I'll never forget, I've gone through weight spirals, nothing drastic, but I've gone through weight spirals. And I remember this is probably 5 years ago, I had gone up in weight. And I said to my girlfriend, Kelly, have I gained weight? And she looked at me and said, you have. And I'll just never forget that. I appreciated the honesty. And I know a lot of people wouldn't say that. A lot of people are like, oh, you look great, but the point is I think effective communication and honest communication can take you a long way. And I think you could say, and you could disagree to this person, I've really gone on a health journey. I'm within 20 pounds of my goal weight. And I see myself as being with someone who also makes that a priority.
Justin, no, wrong way forward. First of all, you used this example with Kelly. The thing about it is you were empowered. You had the agency. You owned it and asked Kelly. You gave her the invitation. You knew the answer, right? This is different. He's going to her unsolicited. I think he instead says this kind of stuff. Look, I'm going to go for a walk after dinner. I'd love to spend time with you. Would you like to walk with me? Or, you know what? We're making dinner tonight. I know that it's a trigger for me to eat a cheeseburger. Are you okay if we have, grilled salmon and some broccoli?
Oh, disagree. We should have had this A block. People dropped off by the time we get to this disagreement. I think you're wrong. This person is living in the dark, and it's going to be much more of a shock to them when he drops another 10 pounds and he's 10 from his goal weight and he says 2 Bs and he's out the door.
But here's the thing.
That's bye-bye.
I got you. Bye-bye. But here's the thing, right? Is he says, I really want to be with her. It's just that she's obese. And if he's saying, I can't be with you because you're obese, that's fair, right? But if he wants to salvage the relationship and if he really loves her and really is infatuated with her, be kind and find another approach.
Well, I am all about being kind, but I am also about being honest. Like, I am not going to be here if this is not a priority for you. You don't have to say you're fat.
Yeah, but Justin, here's the thing. It's like he met her, he was with her. And here's the thing too. We also know that weight loss is fleeting. Today I read, I think it was maybe in the New York Times, that people on a GLP
the rest of their life.
Yeah, are gaining weight within the next 2 years.
And that's me.
We know it's a terrible kind of cycle. I just think that there's another way to kind of say this, or to say, look, I've really enjoyed being lighter and feeling healthier. And I'm wondering if you want to kind of participate in this journey with me. I just don't think saying, here's the thing. I can tell you what most people would do is they would get defensive and sad, and they would say, this person doesn't love me for who I really am. And they're going to dig their feet in and sabotage their own diet.
But isn't that true? This person doesn't love you for who you are. They love you for your personality, but they want that part of you in a different way. I just think that's the reality of life.
I don't know.
And we've all been on both sides of that coin. So I'm not suggesting, I have been told things like that before. I will think of something where someone has come up to me and said, this is not who I'm going to be with.
But I don't know. Yes, I think there's some people like that. Again, this goes back to my concept of splitting. I think 2 things can be true at once, right? I love you. I care for you. I enjoy spending time with you. I wish you weren't a fat ass. I think that's fine. I think if it's, I don't want to be with you because you're a fat ass, is a whole different thing. If we had $1 for every couple that got married and then blew up in later life, but they stay together, I don't think anyone goes, you look extra hot with an extra 50 pounds, but I love you and I care for you. And I understand how you got to this weight, and I'm not going to dump your ass on the corner just because you put on some pounds. Well, now, if you are the person who did it, it's probably not real love.
Well, I agree, but let's take this up on the other side because I feel like we have a lot of unresolved things. So doggies may wait another week, but we'll be back on the other side of this.
Okay.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin.
And we're back. So Justin, I mean, you're trying to lose weight. We know you're married. I love your partner. Has this come up in your own life?
Well, it has only because, when I met Josh, Josh is 7 years younger than me. And when I met him, I was in the best shape of my life. I worked out all the time. I had beautiful arms. And needless to say those all went away fast or quickly after, once you get married, that just, all those things go downhill. Yeah. And weight, once I turned 45, the weight came on and, I stopped going to the gym and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, Josh has never gained a pound. He's a good looking guy. He just doesn't gain weight like that. But he did say when his father hit 40, I think he said, or 50, that his father put on a lot of weight. And so Josh is kind of in that cycle now. He has passed 40 and he's, he can't just eat anything he wants without gaining weight. And so he one of his priorities this year was also to work on the weight thing. He has joined a gym again. Mm-hmm. But because he doesn't feel my urgency, because it's not just about vanity, it's not just about health, he's just kind of doing it with me. He doesn't take it probably as seriously as I do. Okay. An example, I called him the other day and I said, "What did you have for lunch?" And he said, "Oh, I'm eating pizza." And I was like, well, that's not really on our diet. And anyway, but
how did he respond to that?
Huh? Well, he said, I didn't want to leave it at home for you so that you ate it, which I thought was very nice.
It's very nice. By the way, viewers and listeners, Josh is the nicest person, like opposite of Justin.
Anyway, so, but now we are doing meal prep and all that, and he did join a gym. But, it's like, I would never say to him, gosh, you've gained a lot of weight, and he hasn't. So it's just it's one of those things he knows I have, I know he has.
But Justin, how would it feel to you if, like, I came into town and we had a few cocktails and we had lunch and he came back and he said, "You know what, Justin, it's supposed to be dry spring. It's light drinking spring, and you just had 3 cocktails at lunch, and we're still going to go out to dinner. Why did you do that?" Would you find would that get on your nerves?
No, I think that would. I've actually pushed him to take more initiative and on. He packs my pills for me. I have a Sunday, Monday pill day for my blood pressure, and now I'm on a statin, and good God. Anyway, you have a weekly pill thing too?
I have a weekly pill thing, but it doesn't have things like statins and blood pressure, like old people medicine. It has like a crazy pill, and it has like, for anxiety, because it does exist and I have it. And it's like a fiber pill and a multivitamin and a probiotic.
Well, yeah, my pills are actually necessary to live the next day.
So you do need to be on a diet.
I do need to be on a diet. That's what I told you. I really always had good blood work. And this last time I was like, okay, time to regroup. But she did say
getting old is not easy. And
it's not.
And that's the thing that Josh is going through. It's like, I think there's a steep curve at 35, 40, 45, and then it's just downhill.
50. I agree at 50. But 50, that was also so free because I'm like, I don't care. Fuck it. But my mother said to me, well, that's not fair to Josh if you really have that attitude. And she's right. But anyway, I have got on Josh about, he just is not the type of guy. What were we just talking about the other day? And he said, well, that's not really my job to do that for you. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fair. It's not, but yeah. Okay.
I think that's healthy boundaries. And I think that's also communication.
Yeah.
You want an ass rider. You want someone to call you out on your shit. You want someone to like make sure you're not doing this. He might not want that. And I think what happens is we don't have a really in-depth conversation about, do you want this? Do you find this annoying? Is this helpful to you? Because what you're doing is you're projecting what you want on him.
100%. But the flip side of that is he also, I'm not going to be around forever if I don't get my act together. And, he's a part of that to some degree. And that's its own conversation we've had.
But that's my point is he can be on you, but if, because you want it, you need it, and you've asked for it. But I don't know if he's asked the same from you.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay. Well, this was a fun block C. All right. So what do we have coming up in the next couple of weeks, Katie? What do we have going on Wrong Way Forward?
Oh my gosh, we have so many ideas and so many suggestions. And Justin and I have kind of a working kind of document, and it's just, pages and links. So we've got a lot of good content coming up. But of course, just to remind all of our viewers and listeners, we do love when you write in or you send us messages, because we love to work with kind of your real world stuff and tell you why it's the wrong way forward. So remember, you can always email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on our social media and leave us a message. And then Justin, do you also want to share our text line?
Yeah, I don't have my text line in front of me. It's 720-251-4450. That's 720-251-4450. We were going to talk about dog issues today. We have a fun topic we'll take up next time. A woman, she went in to adopt a dog and they told her she was too old. So we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. I will introduce Preston, who is behind me in silence, which is wonderful.
And for our listeners, could you please spell the word Preston?
And Katie hates any non-traditional spelling of anything, and it's
correct.
Not Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Preston is with a T-Y-N, and that's because she's female. Anyway, so we'll meet her next time, and then we're going to talk. I also want to talk about Kim Kardashian gifting her 4 kids Pomeranian puppies. Gross.
That, and I think we're going to talk about, are we ever possibly Karens?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got a good feed on MIA.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear if you ever feel like you've accidentally or intentionally pulled a Karen.
Me? Never. All right, we'll talk to you next week on Wrong Way Forward. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.